It's strange how a dream can turn into a nightmare, especially when it's your own family holding the knife. I spent 6 years working double shifts to buy my first home. It was small, imperfect, but it was mine, a symbol of everything I'd earned. The day I moved in, I imagined laughter, freedom, and peace. Instead, I found my parents waiting in the driveway with a look I'll never forget. My mom said, "Jamie, your sister needs this house more than you do." I laughed, until I realized she wasn't joking. That was the beginning of everything. I grew up in a family where love had conditions. My parents, Martha and Greg, had 2 daughters, me and my younger sister, Claire. From the moment she was born, the sun rose and set on her smile. She was the golden child, the one who deserved extra. When Claire wanted ballet lessons, my parents found the money. When I wanted to attend a science camp, they said, "We can't afford luxuries." Luxuries. That word followed me into adulthood like a shadow. I learned early that if I wanted something, I had to earn it myself. So I did. After college, I started as a junior nurse at a local hospital, juggling night shifts and extra certifications. I shared apartments with strangers, ate instant noodles, and saved every cent I could. My parents never offered help. In fact, they'd occasionally borrow money from me for Claire's emergencies, her rent, her car repairs, her wedding. Each time, I told myself, family helps family. But when Claire married Todd, a man who couldn't hold a job for more than 3 months, I saw the pattern forming again. They moved into my parents' home temporarily, a temporary that lasted 4 years. Meanwhile, I focused on my goal, a house of my own. Something small, safe, and close to work. When I finally found a cozy 3-bedroom home on Maple Street, I cried. It wasn't just property, it was proof. Proof that I'd made it without being anyone's burden. The day I signed the papers, I sent my parents a photo, expecting pride. My mom's reply was, "That's nice, honey. Claire's been so stressed with the kids. Maybe she can stay with you sometimes, just for a while." I brushed it off. Parents say things without meaning them, right? I moved in 2 weeks later, carrying boxes and dreams. I remember setting up my modest living room, the scent of fresh paint, the echo of new beginnings. For the first time, the silence didn't feel lonely. That's when they arrived, uninvited. My parents pulled into the driveway with Claire and her 2 kids in tow. Mom waved cheerfully like they were coming for brunch. "Jamie. We thought we'd come celebrate your new place," she said, carrying grocery bags. But inside the bags weren't food, they were boxes labeled Claire's clothes, kids' toys, bathroom stuff. What's this?" I asked, confused. "Oh," Mom said casually, "we thought since Claire's apartment lease ended, she and the kids could stay here for a bit. Todd's looking for work again, poor thing." My heart sank. "Mom, this is my house." "I know, sweetie," she replied. "That's why it's perfect. You've got 3 bedrooms, and you live alone. Claire can have the master, the kids can share the second. You can take the small one." I froze. "Are you hearing yourself?" Dad sighed, "Jamie, be reasonable. You don't have a family to care for. Claire does. It's only fair she has more space." That word again, fair. I couldn't believe the audacity. "Mom, Dad, I worked for this house. You didn't contribute a cent. Claire and her husband can figure their own situation out." Claire frowned. "Wow. So much for being sisters. You've always been selfish, Jamie." I felt my pulse in my throat. "Selfish? I've helped you every time you messed up. I paid your car loan once." "That was ages ago," she snapped. "I have kids now." I turned to my parents. "Please leave. This isn't up for discussion." Mom's face hardened. "You're being heartless. We raised you to put family first. If you can't even help your own sister, maybe you don't deserve a family at all." They left that night, but I could tell it wasn't over. A week later, I came home from a double shift to find my front door unlocked. Inside, boxes littered the hallway. My living room furniture was pushed aside. Claire was standing there, holding a mug, as if she'd always lived there. "What are you doing in my house?" She looked startled but calm. "Mom said you'd be fine with it. The kids needed stability." "Without asking me?" You weren't answering your phone, she shrugged. We moved in yesterday. Don't overreact. Don't overreact. I stood there trembling. Get out. Jamie, she said, lowering her voice, we already changed the utilities. Mom's transferring the mail here. You can stay at your apartment near the hospital or something. I don't have an apartment, this is my home. At that moment, my parents walked in like they owned the place. Jamie, you're being childish, Dad said sternly. Claire and the kids are settled now. You can't just kick them out. It's family. Family doesn't steal someone's home, I snapped. Mom glared. We're not stealing. We're reallocating. You can buy another one later. I laughed in disbelief. Reallocating? You mean taking? When I tried to call the police, my dad warned, do that, and you'll regret it. We'll tell everyone how ungrateful you've become. That night, I slept in my car. For the first time, I felt like an orphan. The next few days were a blur. My parents ignored my calls. When I finally returned, they'd changed the locks. Yes. My own parents locked me out of the house I bought. A neighbor told me they saw movers bringing in new furniture. My name was still on the deed, the mortgage, the bills, everything. Yet, somehow, they were acting like squatters with parental immunity. At work, I couldn't focus. My friends urged me to sue them, but the emotional weight crushed me. Taking your own family to court? The guilt was paralyzing. Then came the final straw. One afternoon, I parked across the street to see Claire's kids playing in my yard. Todd, her husband, was grilling like it was his kingdom. When Mom noticed me, she smirked and mouthed, "Move on." That night, I made a decision, I wasn't going to beg anymore. I called my lawyer friend, Marcus. After explaining everything, he said, "Jamie, they can't do that. You own the property. You're within your rights to evict them legally." I hesitated. "They're my parents." "Doesn't matter," he said. They crossed a line. With Marcus's help, I filed a formal eviction notice, addressed to all three, my parents, Claire, and Todd. 3 days later, the texts started flooding in. "Mom, how could you humiliate us like this? Dad, we'll never forgive you. Claire, enjoy being alone, which?" But the law was clear. They had 30 days to vacate. When the notice was posted on the front door, neighbors whispered. The Golden family facade shattered. For the first time, they couldn't hide behind guilt. 2 weeks in, I drove by the house again. Half their stuff was still inside. They'd ignored every letter. Marcus advised the next step, filing for sheriff enforcement. I didn't want drama, but they left me no choice. On the morning of enforcement, I watched from my car as officers arrived. My parents stood on the porch, stunned. Mom screamed, "This is our daughter's house. You can't do this." One officer replied calmly, "Ma'am, this property is registered under Jamie Rivera. You were given notice." When they refused to leave, the officers escorted them out, just like any other tenant. It was surreal watching my parents, who once taught me right from wrong, being removed for doing something so wrong. Claire glared at me as she got into her car. "You'll regret this," she hissed. But I didn't. I felt free. Afterward, I hired cleaners and replaced every lock. Inside, I found broken picture frames, stained walls, and missing appliances. They'd trashed everything out of spite. I didn't cry. I just filed a police report, documented damages, and sent copies to my lawyer. A month later, Marcus called. Good news. Their damages exceeded small claims. We can pursue restitution. I didn't care about the money, I wanted closure. So I agreed. Word spread quickly in our family circle. Relatives who once idolized my parents started asking questions. I shared the receipts, literally. Screenshots of texts, photos of damage, eviction orders. The narrative flipped. Suddenly, I wasn't the villain, I was the daughter who stood up for herself. And then came the poetic justice. Todd got arrested for unpaid loans he'd hidden from Claire. With no home and no backup, she had to move back into my parents' rented apartment. They'd sold their house years ago to fund her wedding. Now, they were all cramped together, the family that tried to steal my home had none of their own. Meanwhile, I rebuilt mine. Slowly. Quietly. Each repaired wall, each replaced chair, felt like reclaiming a piece of my soul. Months passed. I still kept my distance. Mom tried calling a few times, leaving voicemails about forgiveness and moving on. I listened once, she said, "We didn't mean to hurt you, Jamie. We just wanted to help your sister." Help her? By destroying me? I never called back. Claire sent one message, "I hope you're happy now that you've torn the family apart." I typed a reply but never sent it. The truth was, they tore it apart the moment they decided my hard work was negotiable. Therapy helped. My therapist asked me what the house meant to me now. I said, "It's peace. But also proof that I can protect myself, even from those who should have protected me." One evening, as the sun set behind the porch I fought so hard to reclaim, I realized something. Family isn't who shares your blood, it's who respects your boundaries. Looking back, I don't regret standing up for myself. My parents taught me many things, responsibility, hard work, but they also taught me what not to tolerate. They thought they could guilt me into surrendering everything I built. Instead, they forced me to discover my strength. If you're listening and someone is trying to take what's yours, remember this: love doesn't demand sacrifice, manipulation does. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge isn't destruction, it's rebuilding what they tried to steal and living peacefully in it.